It's official. Video games are the biggest entertainment medium on the planet.
Thousands of titles.
Millions of players.
Billions of dollars.
But that's not important.
Because it's not the big numbers that make gaming great.
It's the experience.
You already know that, and so do we.
This isn't another show just trying to justify gaming.
What's there to justify? It's awesome.
It is.
No, we're here to cut through the noise.
And speak from our hearts.
About the games that we love.
And even those that we don't.
Because we love games just as much as you.
From Wii Sports
To esports.
From the platformer
To the puzzler.
All are welcome in this video game nation. The beautiful game. Outside, in the park, jumpers for goalposts, heads and volleys. Bagsy not in that.
Mate,
Next goal wins.
he's such a talent.
Hold on, stop, wait. This doesn't feel right. Here we are. That's better. The beautiful game. Pixels for goalposts, shoulder button for finesse, right stick for skills, cries of one more game, one more game. Marvellous. The new FIFA is finally here, and like every FIFA before it, this one promises to be the best and most realistic football game yet. But what's new from last year? Of course, apart from the updated kits and player transfers and a few new stadiums and commentary from Martin Tyler and Alan Smith might be a bit different, more realistic kneecaps and players' facial hair getting a bit more bushy, tattoos, of course, saying YOLO. As expected, audio and visual tweaks are here by the training ground cardboard box full, and EA boast of 600 new player animations and, get this, emotional intelligence of the players. They get annoyed when they or their teammates make a bad pass or miss the target. They bear grudges against the opposition after bad tackles. It all increases the realism. It's the closest we've got to a TV broadcast of a game. But if, like me, you grew up on the top-down views of sensible soccer and shouting at blocks of text on Championship Manager, these graphical onion layers really don't add much. The key question is, how does it play? It plays a lot like a game of FIFA. Control is responsive. There's still a bit too much reliance on the aerial through ball, but nowhere near as much as FIFA 14, where you just chip the ball over the defenders' heads for an attacker to run onto. That's cheating! In gameplay terms, it's an excellent football sim, but if you're expecting huge strides forward from last year, you'll probably be disappointed. In terms of game modes, everything's still there. Ultimate Team, ready and waiting to take your microtransactions, and career mode as manager or player, and they're still comprehensive and all-absorbing in their own way. Especially when you're handing out a pasting to some kid on the internet, they're always PSG. But as always, there's nothing quite like local multiplayer, because if FIFA's about anything, it's about the trash talking.
Oh, I have penetrated your defence. I have read you like a book. I've read you like James and a Giant Peach. I've read you like an absolute peach. You are a massive peach, and I read all of this. What a pass. No! I wish Eric Cantona kicked you in the face. Come on, come on. Yes! Yes, what a goal! I just danced around your defence, just danced around. I reeled you in like a fish. Catch of the day, Anthony Richardson. What a goal.
All right, I feel suitably trashed. So the bottom line is that FIFA's good, but only slightly better. And what as sports fans should we expect? It's been ever thus. I remember unboxing FIFA 95 with Spurs keeper Eric Torsvet on the cover. What an odd marketing decision, and feeling the weird mixture of disappointment and relief that it was better than FIFA International Soccer, but only in a minor way. We're football fans, we're a captive audience. We get excited when we see pictures of a player with ping pong balls all over his body. It's going to be motion capped brilliantly this time, we think. I'm with TV's Adam Savage, who's been playing FIFA for 20 years now, which makes him very old.
Thanks, mate.
No problem. What do you think of FIFA in general? What are your favourite ones from the early series?
I remember the original FIFA International Soccer on the Super Nintendo. You could only score goals really from diagonal angles.
Yes, you do that now.
Well, I'm a creature of habit.
How do you think the series has evolved? What do you think of the newest FIFA?
Well, I think FIFA's in the best place it's ever been really now. I love the gameplay elements. I think the Ultimate Team is brilliant. It's basically like collecting those Premier League '94 stickers, which is great, very nostalgic. I love the co-op seasons kind of stuff as well. We love playing that together. I do have my gripes. The tactics are a bit basic. I think that the cutscenes, I'm sick and tired of skipping them all the time. But otherwise, I don't think there's a better football game out there.
Well, some players might say that the FIFA series is rumbling on without any serious competition, but there may be trouble ahead in the shape of Pro Evolution Soccer. Pro Evo, the hipster's choice. Recently, as gaming battles go, FIFA vs PES has been as one-sided as the 1896 Anglo-Zanzibar War, a war which only lasted 8 minutes longer than this TV show. Every year, PES fans have hoped, saying that this could be their year. A bit like Liverpool fans, but PES is evolving year on year. Has the king finally returned?
Yes, he has.
Very good. PES 6 and 7, they were the best PESs, weren't they?
They were, yeah. I mean, I was a FIFA player till about 2000, and then out of nowhere, I converted to PES.
Like a religion.
Just like a religion, like my faith changed. I thought with FIFA it was kind of directionless, it was in a bit of a lull, but along came this really exciting arcadey experience in PES.
And then that experience took itself off a cliff, didn't it, after about 2010. The latest one, is it as good as FIFA?
Do you know what people were saying last year? Oh, PES is really getting as good as FIFA again now, and it wasn't quite being, pipping it to the post. This year, it seems like both are equally as good as each other. It's either you're one or the other, heads or tails, really exciting stuff.
All right, well, let's make a choice, heads or tails. For the rest of your life, you have to play this FIFA or this PES.
I would say FIFA.
Vanilla. So, FIFA still has the upper hand, but with the evolution of PES, we could be waking up to another great chapter in football sim history. FIFA versus PES could once again be on. But of course, we can't have a football special of Video Game Nation without paying tribute to the other great footy games that have graced our consoles. The Actua Soccers, This Is Footballs, and Chris Kamara's Street Soccers of this world. Oh, you're dirty. Chris Kamara Street Soccer, by the way, PS1, look it up. Some titles just lasted one game, others spanned a bit of a dynasty, a mini-series, and some stretched the term football to its breaking point. Here's John Robertson to smash a nostalgic pile driver into the back of your net. Did you ever play Chris Kamara Street Soccer?
Yeah, it was rubbish. Howdy gang, high def, high five. You know, the FIFA games are so popular that I once watched a 50-year-old woman walk into a game store and have a 4-word conversation. FIFA out? No. Ah! And then she freaked out and ran into the street like something you'd shoot in The Last of Us. It was weird. I didn't know you could have a soccer riot with just one person.
For those of us not willing to risk our sanity picking up the sweaty taste of an official football licence, here's 3 games that take soccer and give it a dribble, twist, cheeky kick to the corner, and whatever the hell else it is you do in soccer. I have no idea how it works. For God's sake, I'm Australian. We only started playing football so we'd have something to talk about at the UN.
First up in our squad is the adorable 1992 number about little people kicking things, Sensible Soccer.
Sensible Soccer is the top-down Twitch-play charmster from Sensible that went from the Amiga to DOS in the same year and onto every home console by 1993. It even got a special bill for the Atari Jaguar, which is remarkable since only 67 games got a release on a console so unpopular it should have been called the Atari Lupus.
The first joy of Sensi, as the kids call it, is a lack of official licence.
It starts by telling you it's not affiliated with any real-life legal person and a text screen, just like the opening of South Park.
The second is it breaks football down to its essence.
You know, soccer really is just little men kicking a tiny ball back and forth. With that in place, the game adds detail and flair, like different leagues, custom teams, changeable pitches, slide tackles, headers, local multiplayer. Sometimes simple mechanics just mean room for more game.
Depending on the version you're using, you play with at most 3 or 4 buttons. No heads-up display, no endless on-screen prompts, no tutorials. Just run on the field, get the ball, score the goal, celebrate with your wee men. Bliss.
Trivia: Sensible's trademark at the time really was tiny people doing something equals fun. So look out for their one-off game Cannon Soccer, where the tiny soldiers of War Sim Cannon Fodder do battle with Sensible Soccer's tiny footballers. Spoiler: the Bullets win.
Easy to pick up, challenging and razor quick with an update on Xbox Live and Windows Vista that gives you online versus play. I'm going to give Sensible Soccer 8 out of 10 posh spices.
Cut the players down to 3, add a robotic goalie and squeeze the teams till they look like the plasticine friends your disturbed brother builds in art class, and you'll get 2002's Sega Soccer Slam for GameCube and PS2.
I'm a big fan of arcade-style sports games. Give me the feel of the rules, cartoon physics and something that's on fire, and I'll be your pal.
Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey on the 64, WWE All-Stars on the 360 and PS3, every single NBA Jam. All are games that are fun to watch, easy to learn, and keep their depth subtle.
I play games for how fun they are, not for endless reams of sub-menus where you can customise the fabric of your players' shorts because the 1979 team played in cotton. I mean, customisation's great, but keep your game dynamic.
Seriously, you can get delayed in the career mode of EA's otherwise excellent Fight Night Round 4 by picking whether or not your created boxer wears satin. This should never happen.
Luckily, Sega Soccer Slam does exactly what it sounds like it does.
The character models are big and broad, the visuals cartoonish, the match is high scoring, the physics bent but consistent, the unlockable pitches are colourful and interesting, and Brawl mode means we can forget about soccer and get back to punching, the real world game.
Great fun with mates and good for a couple of hours on your own. Sega Soccer Slam gets 8 out of 10 Wayne Rooneys.
Final game now, and it's back to top down with the 2011 iOS sim New Star Soccer 5.
Oh, this one's great.
Add more options to sensible soccer, then mix smooth gameplay with a sense of humour, and you've got an addictive little title for mobile, Mac and PC.
The controls are tight. Screw up and you'll know it's your fault. Do well and you'll feel like a 5-year-old who just scored a goal against Beckham.
The coach yelling encouragement is a great touch, as is the fact that the career mode really is about your player. You end up in the news, your friends need attention, you can play your matches drunk. You can play your matches drunk!
It might be the most realistic sports simulator ever made.
Free to play and good to go, New Star Soccer gets 8.5 out of 10. Goal!
Thanks, John. Coming up on Video Game Nation. Hold on a second. We seem to be in a loading screen. Always cardboard boxes. Why the cardboard boxes? See you after the break.
Every year, the new FIFA comes out and they have all of the latest football playing men.
Sky One HD and catch up with Series 1 and 2 on demand.
Welcome back to Video Game Nation. We're still in this loading screen. I'm not entirely sure what to do. Oh, I got 1,000 points. Ah yes, press start, press start, press start for the panel.
I'm not really a massive fan of sport or sports games, and I don't really understand why games like FIFA, you know, why the new iterations with sort of what seem to me like quite small changes are so popular. I think it's almost as if like video games companies have looked at like the football shirt model and gone, well, we can take this sort of quite expensive product and just make a little tweak and keep selling it to the same people year after year, isn't it? It's almost like that, isn't it?
I think the reason that gamers flock to the titles year in, year out is they sort of have to, unfortunately, because every single year they bring out a new game. Football hasn't changed unrecognisably since last year, but rather than let you pay £10, £15 just to get the little gameplay tweaks or download the new rosters, you have to spend 50 quid on a new game.
Something I think is very important to sports fans is the names of all of the football men, the colours of the jumpers that they wear when they play the sports, and the number of goals that they can do. And every year, the new FIFA comes out and they have all of the latest football playing men and the names and the colours of the jumpers that they wear and the strength of the kicks that they can do, which changes. I'm reliably informed every year.
With FIFA, although this isn't what EA Sports does by any stretch of the imagination, but you could probably just get away with updating the player stats every year because everybody wants their team, the team that they choose to represent on screen, to be absolutely accurate. So I think that's part of it. It's just the idea of replicating the sport as closely as possible. So football changes every year, so should, I guess, the simulation.
My gaming sport of choice is usually anything that isn't a real sport. I guess Tony Hawk's, wrestling. Is Kung Fu a sport? Kung Fu is like 2 players and then a ball gets dropped in between, and it's all the Rayman Legends controls and platforming mechanics, and it's just nuts. It's amazing, good fun, and you just go back and forth, just goal, 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 goal. It's the best thing.
Although I'm not generally into sports games, I do have a bit of a thing, weirdly, for tennis games. I do like a good, which I don't particularly care about Wimbledon, like I don't play real tennis, but I remember one summer getting really into smash court tennis on, I think, the PS2, and just taking it very, very seriously.
My favourite gaming sport, and it's strange because I don't watch this sport in real life, but I love NFL. I love playing Madden. It was my only way of relating to that game. It's how I learned the rules of American football, was by playing Madden. There's something quite technical and quite gamey about how American football works. All the different plays and manoeuvring your characters into these different positions. It's really strategic. It's like playing a strategy game as well as a top-down sports game.
My gaming sport of choice, it's very specific actually, my gaming sport of choice, and it would have to be Mario Golf Toadstool Tour on the GameCube. It is without doubt the best golf game ever.
I'm not a very sporty person in video games or outside of video games. I sort of play video games because I'm not very good at sports, to be a bit of a cliche. I do enjoy Rockstar's table tennis games, so I guess maybe we could say my video game sport is table tennis, but it's just that one game. But I think more likely I end up devising my own sport with friends. In something like Far Cry 3, there was a map maker, and we ended up building a ski jump. So I guess it's kind of like Far Cry 3 Jeep ski jumping, something like that. That could be my sport.
I think esports are a great thing. I think it's nice that the community's finding a way that it can celebrate skills and prowess at the games. I think the difficulty with esports is that a lot of the games, the ones that are very highly rated on Twitch, get a lot of views and things, they're quite incomprehensible to a broader audience.
I think esports is good, you know, fair enough really. I mean, some people say, oh well, you know, you're just sitting down all day controlling a machine, you know, competing against someone else who's sitting down controlling a machine. But to me that sounds like Formula 1.
Hard to believe how enormous they are, especially when you look at, you know, StarCraft in Korea and whatnot, and how little impact they have on the mainstream in our culture in the UK right now, for instance.
Just seeing what's happening in South Korea over the last 10 years of you know, StarCraft players becoming superstars, you know, they're almost like the boy bands. They're the One Direction of Korea.
I think, you know, calling esports, I think it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? I mean, you know, okay, fine, it's competitive and it's challenging and there's definitely a lot of skill to be seen in it, but, you know, not everything competitive is a sport, right? You know, there used to be pinball competitions back in the day, and pinball's not a sport.
You know, I don't think you can really effectively say it isn't a sport. It obviously doesn't have the physical element, but it has everything else in there. So, yeah, I really do believe that in the next few years, popularity of traditional sports is going to start going down, and esports is going to come up. I mean, last year 70 million people watched esports on the net. 45 million people are subscribing to Twitch. So I think, whereas when I was a kid, I grew up idolising football players. I think, you know, the youth, what we now call Generation Z, are going to grow up idolising games players. I really do believe that will happen.
I always thought that I was pretty good at FIFA, that on a good day I could beat pretty much anyone. It turns out that that's a naive and misguided belief, and it's about to be trampled on. I'm about to meet a professional. The world of esports is huge and serious, and FIFA is right at the forefront. Of course, if any game were to succeed as an esport, it should be FIFA, as, I don't know if you know this, but it's based on a real sport. It's football. Although I'm still waiting for tournaments to be held on Brian Lara cricket, I would boss that. But what does it take to be a pro FIFA player? I'm about to find out. I'm chatting to Taz Russian from Team Dignitas. He's going to tell me how to be a champ. Not at table football, at FIFA. We're still with FIFA.
How I became a pro FIFA player was, I was just like probably any other 13, 14-year-old, played FIFA just for fun. I did win quite a lot, but then it was just a hobby. It was anything more than a hobby. I was playing more and more online. I got into online, and then I found out about a few tournaments that exist that you can actually play competitively. So I wanted to try myself out, see how I do. In April 2012, I went to my first tournament in New York, which was a $400,000 prize pool. The first tournament. It was a huge risk, and I got to round 4, and lost to the eventual winner. That's how it all started off, and since then it's been going okay. Over time, and the more tournaments you go to, it never goes away, depending on what your expectations are. If your expectations are just to get to a certain stage of a tournament, I think maybe the player would be more relaxed. But if you're actually in it to win it, you put more pressure on yourself. If a player really wants to get competitive and try be successful or attempt or just make a name for himself, advice would be compete regularly in tournaments as much as you can, but I think the key advice would be when you lose, seriously look at be honest with yourself and seriously look at what you're doing wrong. And even when you win, you should look at what you're still doing wrong. So I think in FIFA it comes down to making minimal mistakes, so minimize your mistakes and you'll be good to go.
And like any sports, behind every great team is a dedicated coach. The gaffer of Team Dignitas is Michael Odell, or Odie, a man who's guided his team to success in esports as varied as Battlefield 4 and League of Legends.
But how does he keep tabs on his players when they're scattered around the globe? And how do you coach a FIFA team?
Having players all over the world to be honest, it's fun. It's extremely interesting to manage. It's very tough to manage, as you can see by the bags under my eyes at the moment. We have a lot of American players, so I'm up all hours like managing those guys. European players when they come home from school normally, or from college or wherever they've been. So the hours it's quite tough, to be honest, but dealing with lots of people from different cultures, from Koreans to Americans to Brits to Germans, it's a lot of fun. When you're coaching FIFA players, it's extremely mental, and it's an individual game. It all depends on the actual individual and how they see themselves and how they see their own training regime. I think when I did a professional league in 2008, my biggest advice to my player at the time, Bazza, was see that white thing, kick the ball in the goal. Just making sure you're there, a bit of support. It really does help, I think, to have when you've got somebody with you when you're playing a tournament like that. It gives you the moral support. I think esports is growing, and especially right now, I think we're still in like infancy, but after the Amazon takeover of Twitch recently, I think now it's just going to explode. It's going to get bigger and bigger. Because of that deal, a lot more mainstream has noticed what we do, and people are asking questions. What is this esport? Why are people watching streams? So I think it's going to just keep growing. I think there are a number of steps that need to happen for us to be considered a so-called sport. Things like governing bodies and local regulations in different countries to actually govern what we do. At the moment, it's a little bit like the Wild West. Anybody can do what they want. There needs to be some self-governance and ultimately a governing body that will look after what we do.
Oh, I wish I had a ball. We're deep into stoppage time for this episode of VGN, but what a match it's been. We've met FIFA Pro players, we've remembered old school classics, we've even sat back with a bag of popcorn ready for the next battle between FIFA and PES. Let me know what you think of both of those games using our hashtag VGN, and we'll see you next time on Video Game Nation. Hang on a second, there's someone on the line. Chris Kamara. Oh, bless him. He probably wants to play Chris Kamara's Street Soccer. Yeah, I'll be over.
Thank you.